When everything collapses, most men crumble. They whimper, drown in self-pity, and pray for someone to save them. But listen carefully. When the world strips you of comfort, when the mask of security is torn away, you are standing at the threshold of something far greater. The destruction you face is not punishment. It is an invitation to rise beyond the fragile version of yourself that once depended on lies, illusions, and borrowed strength. Weak men beg for healing, but healing belongs to those who still hope for softness. You are not here to heal. You are here to rebuild, to take the wreckage and hammer it into a form that terrifies weakness itself. This is not about restoration. Restoration returns you to what was. Rebuilding makes you into something new, something unrecognizable, something untouchable. You will not crawl back. You will rise forward. You will not seek comfort. You will seek power. So ask yourself now, before you take another breath, am I the kind of man who clings to ruins or the kind who uses ruins as raw material for conquest? If you are the latter, then comment this below. I rise from fire, not from pity. The cold truth of power. Power does not emerge from comfort. It does not grow in warmth, love, or mercy. Power is forged in darkness in the moments when you are abandoned, humiliated, stripped of everything soft and familiar. And you must accept this. The world owes you nothing. It does not care for your suffering, your excuses, your tears. It will devour you whole, unless you learn to stand colder, sharper, more disciplined than the chaos around you. This is Machiavelli's first gift, the reminder that men who wait for fortune are devoured by it, while men who seize it, twist it, reshape it, become untouchable. You cannot rebuild yourself by clinging to ideals of fairness or justice. Those are stories told to the masses to keep them docile. If you wish to rise again, you must strip yourself of illusions and embrace the only law that governs survival. Power respects only power. Do not ask, why me? Ask instead, what can I extract from this pain? What weapons are hidden in this collapse? Because here is the secret most men never uncover. Destruction is raw material. Betrayal is instruction. Loss is transformation. Every cut teaches you precision. Every failure hardens your will. Every scar is armor. This is why you must not grieve what you lost. You must dissect it, study it, absorb its lessons like a predator sharpening its teeth. Your heart must grow colder, your mind sharper, your will untouchable. That is how you rise when everything else falls. And if you understand this truth, if you are willing to wield the blade of power instead of waiting to be saved, then write this in the comments. My scars are weapons. My losses are fuel. Because once you declare it, you stop being prey. You step into the ranks of those who can never be broken the same way twice. The strategy of the rebuilder. When everything collapses, the ordinary man looks for comfort. The extraordinary man looks for strategy. Understand this. Rebuilding yourself is not an act of emotion. It is an act of calculation. Machiavelli knew that fortune is a cruel mistress, favoring the ruthless and crushing the complacent. If you wish to rise from ruin, you must think like a strategist, not like a victim. The first rule is detachment. Emotion clouds judgment, and judgment is the weapon that separates predators from prey. Do not allow grief, anger, or nostalgia to chain you to the past. Cut them off like diseased limbs. Cold clarity must be your companion. The second rule is observation. Study your enemies, your failures, and even your so-called allies. Learn where you were weak, where you were blind, where you trusted too much. Every collapse leaves behind blueprints of your mistakes. Do not curse them. Use them. The third rule is control. Rebuilding is not about rushing into the world with wild energy. It is about deliberate moves, small but devastatingly precise. Power is not taken in bursts of rage. It is accumulated quietly, strategically until the moment comes to strike. If you rise too quickly, you will be seen and crushed. If you rise with patience, you will be unstoppable. Remember, the world is a chessboard, and you must learn to think 5 moves ahead. Pain has given you the opportunity to think differently. While others wallow in misery, you sharpen your intellect. While they wait for hope, you build leverage. This is how you rebuild, not as the man you were, but as the weapon you are becoming. Do not cling to comfort. Comfort is the drug of the weak. Cling instead to discipline, to foresight, to cold ambition. These are the foundations of the new version of you. The world may pity the broken, but it fears the rebuilt. So declare now with cold conviction, I rebuild with strategy, not sympathy. Comment it below and let the world know you are no longer rebuilding to survive. You are rebuilding to dominate, turning pain into power. Pain is the crucible where real men are forged. Most will run from it, drown it in distractions, numb themselves with empty pleasures. But you must face it directly. Stare into it until it bends to your will. Do you understand the truth? Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your rawest, most powerful resource. It is energy, fuel, a weapon disguised as torment. Every betrayal that pierced you, every humiliation that burned you, every loss that crushed you, each one is a deposit into the vault of your power. Weak men waste their suffering by whining about it. Strong men harvest it, sharpen it, and use it as ammunition for the battles to come. This is dark psychology at its core. Transform your scars into leverage. When others pity themselves, you stand cold and calculating, extracting lessons where they see only wounds. When others collapse under the weight of heartbreak or failure, you remain still, disciplined, storing that pressure until it hardens into diamond. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors those who can weaponize their circumstances, not those who complain about them. If the world has given you pain, then the world has already given you power. You just haven't claimed it yet. Begin to see every wound as a signal, every loss as a lesson, every moment of agony as training. You were not broken to stay broken. You were broken so that the softer version of you could die and the sharper version of you could be born. This is how predators are made. Not in the light, not in laughter, but in the furnace of suffering. Remember this: while others try to heal, you will evolve. Healing seeks to restore the past. Evolution seeks to conquer the future. And if you dare to treat your pain as your master, you will forever remain a slave. But if you make pain your servant, your engine, your weapon, then no man, no betrayal, no disaster can ever truly destroy you again. From this moment, do not say, I suffered. Say instead, I transformed. Do not whisper, why me? Say with cold resolve, because I was chosen to rise where others fall. And if you feel that fire beginning to spark inside you, burn it into reality by commenting, right now my pain is power. My scars are fuel, the death of the old self. To rebuild, you must first destroy, not the world around you, not yet, but the weaker version of yourself that allowed collapse to happen in the first place. Do not fool yourself with sentimentality. The man you were is the reason you are here now, stripped bare, staring at ruins. That man trusted too easily, hoped too much, allowed softness to rot the foundations of his strength. He must die. His beliefs, his habits, his comforts, his illusions, they are the corpse you must bury. Most men cling to fragments of who they were because it feels safe, because it feels familiar. But safety is a cage, and familiarity is poison. If you carry pieces of your old self into your rebirth, you will chain your new power to old weakness. Machiavelli wrote that men must learn to be both fox and lion, cunning enough to recognize traps, fierce enough to crush wolves. Ask yourself, was your old self either, or was he prey masquerading as predator, walking blindly into snares? To rise again, you must strip yourself of every naivety. Cold clarity must replace blind faith. Ruthless discipline must replace indulgence. Stoic silence must replace desperate pleas for sympathy. This is not reinvention. It is execution. The execution of your softer self. Imagine your old self standing before you. the trusting fool, the one who tolerated disrespect, the one who let fear dictate his decisions. Look him in the eyes, end him. Decide now that he is dead and buried, and in his place, a strategist, a predator, a sovereign will rise. Do not hesitate. Do not mourn him. Weakness is not a friend to be remembered. It is an enemy to be forgotten. And once you declare this, death, something shifts. The old habits lose their grip. The illusions dissolve. The old man's chains fall to the ground. And for the first time, you stand unbound. From here on, you are no longer who you were. You are who you choose to become. This is why collapse is a gift. It strips away the weak version of you and demands you forge a stronger one. But you must make that choice. No one will do it for you. Decide now. Do you cling to the corpse of your old self, or do you bury him and rise reborn, untouchable? If you are ready to execute your weakness, then leave no doubt. Comment this below. The old me is dead. The new me is untouchable. The law of isolation and ascendancy. There comes a point in every man's collapse where he realizes the battlefield is not outside. It is inside. And if you are to rebuild yourself into something unshakable, you must embrace isolation not as punishment, but as law. Weak men fear solitude because it forces them to confront their true selves without the masks of society, without the distractions of companionship, without the soothing lies of comfort. But strong men, those destined to rise, they understand that isolation is the furnace where steel is forged. You must walk into the silence of your own company and strip yourself bare of excuses. This is where you calculate, where you harden, where you sever ties to everything that once softened you. Machiavelli taught that men who cannot stand alone are destined to be ruled. Dependency is the invisible leash of the weak. Every time you lean on another man's approval, another woman's validation, or society's permission, you declare yourself a servant. And servants do not rebuild empires, they clean up after them. The first stage of ascension is cutting the leash. That means solitude. That means walking into darkness without needing a hand to guide you. That means detaching from the noise, from the endless chorus of opinions, from the shallow desires that pull ordinary men into ordinary lives. Cold psychology teaches us that solitude sharpens instinct. When the noise of others is gone, you hear your own mind clearly. You recognize your patterns, your flaws, your hidden strengths. And with recognition comes power. Do not confuse this with loneliness. Loneliness is a cry for help. Solitude is a weapon. Loneliness is weakness screaming for comfort. Solitude is strength sharpening itself in silence. In isolation, you are not without company. You are with the only person who truly matters, the man you are becoming. But beware, this path is not soft. It is not gentle. It will test you. There will be nights where the silence feels unbearable. Days where doubt creeps in like a shadow, whispering that you should return to comfort, to familiarity, to the corpse of your old self. That is the voice of weakness clawing to drag you back into mediocrity. Do not listen. Instead, learn to thrive in that silence. Use it to plan, to calculate, to study. Study yourself. Study others. Study power itself. Read the moves of histories, predators. Analyze the strategies of those who ruled and dissect the failures of those who fell. In solitude, you transform from victim to observer, from observer to strategist, from strategist to predator. And once you have walked this road, you will emerge with a kind of independence that terrifies others because they cannot sway you, cannot control you, cannot manipulate you with the threats of abandonment or promises of comfort. You will stand as an island of discipline, a fortress of will, a man who bends to number one. This is the essence of becoming untouchable. Not wealth, not titles, not reputation, but independence so absolute that no betrayal can shatter you. No loss can unmake you. No storm can uproot you. Most men will never taste this kind of strength because they fear the silence required to build it. But you listening now, you are not most men. You would not be here if you were. You are here because you are ready to step into isolation, to wield solitude as a weapon, to embrace silence until it becomes your sharpest edge. And when you do, the world will no longer see you as just another man. They will see you as something different, something colder, something above. They may not understand it. They may fear it. They may whisper behind your back, but they will not control you, and they will never break you again. That is the law of isolation, and it is the path of ascendancy. If you are ready to bury weakness in silence and forge yourself into a fortress of will, then declare it with fire in your words. Comment this now. I master solitude. I rule myself. I cannot be broken. Or the discipline of ruthlessness. There comes a stage in your rebirth where isolation has hardened you, pain has sharpened you, and the old self has been buried. But this stage is not the end. It is the beginning of something far more dangerous. You are now confronted with the discipline of ruthlessness, the art of moving through the world without hesitation, without apology, without compromise. Weak men love to speak of kindness, compassion, forgiveness. These are luxuries of the untested. These are ornaments that decorate the powerless, illusions they cling to in order to feel noble in their mediocrity. But you are not here to decorate weakness. You are here to rule it. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Understand this. The modern world has conditioned men to believe the opposite, that love is supreme, that kindness will carry you through, that goodness guarantees success. Look around. Do the good men rise? Do the kind men dominate? Or do they get betrayed, trampled, used, and discarded by those who are colder, hungrier, more ruthless than them? The truth is brutal, but it is the truth. Power bows to ruthlessness, not compassion. To rebuild yourself into something untouchable, you must cultivate this discipline. Ruthlessness is not cruelty for its own sake. That is the mistake of tyrants who burn out in a blaze of reckless arrogance. True ruthlessness is control. It is the ability to cut away everything that does not serve your ascent. It is the refusal to waste energy on sentiment, excuses, or weakness. It is the cold execution of decisions that others would hesitate over for fear of judgment. A ruthless man does not apologize for choosing himself. A ruthless man does not ask permission to rise. A ruthless man does not flinch when others call him harsh, arrogant, or unfeeling, because he understands that these words are spoken only by those who wish to see him shackled. You must learn this discipline every day. Ask yourself, what weakness still lingers in me? What dependency still chains me? What indulgence still softens me? Then cut it away without hesitation. Discipline is the executioner's blade. Ruthlessness is the hand that wields it. Together they carve you into something the world cannot shake. But understand this clearly. Ruthlessness does not mean chaos. It does not mean striking wildly at everyone around you. It means precision. The fox and the lion. The cunning mind that sees the trap before it is sprung, and the brutal force that crushes when the moment demands it. Ruthlessness means knowing when to wait, when to strike, and when to disappear entirely. It means treating your life as a battlefield and every move as strategy. Do not waste your fire on small enemies. Do not waste your strength proving yourself to fools. The ruthless man expends his energy only where it multiplies his power. He saves his fire for decisive blows. He saves his time for moves that change the board. Dark psychology teaches us this. People will test you, manipulate you, and attempt to exploit your compassion. If you are not ruthless enough to say no, to walk away, to cut them off, you will bleed out slowly until nothing remains. This is why most men never rise. They are too afraid of being called cold, too desperate for approval, too addicted to comfort. And so they remain prisoners of their own weakness, slaves to those who are willing to wield the blade they themselves fear. You must be different. You must make peace with being misunderstood. You must learn to carry the burden of being feared. Because fear protects, fear insulates, fear keeps parasites at bay. To be feared is not to be hated. It is to be respected at a level that pity and love will never grant. This is why rebuilding yourself after collapse is not about becoming who you were. Who you were could be broken. Who you were could be betrayed. Who you were could be destroyed. The man you are becoming cannot because he is ruthless. He does not cling. He does not beg. He does not bend. He does not waste. He moves with purpose, with silence, with calculation. He can walk into a room and command respect without words because his very presence radiates the truth. Here stands a man who will not be broken, who will not be manipulated, who will not hesitate to cut down whatever stands in his way. But here is the test. Can you live with it? Can you live with being feared, envied, misunderstood even, hated by those who will never understand the path of power? Can you live without their approval? Can you stand alone in your resolve? If the answer is yes, then you are ready. If the answer is no, then you must return to the fire until the softness is burned out of you. This path is not for everyone. It was never meant to be. It is for the few who understand that greatness demands sacrifice, that dominance demands discipline, that survival demands ruthlessness. And if you are one of those few, if you are ready to walk the path of the ruthless, to rebuild yourself not as prey, but as predator, not as victim, but as sovereign, not as broken, but as untouchable, then you must declare it. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Comment below with no hesitation, no apology, no softness. I choose ruthless discipline. I rise without permission. I am untouchable. The architecture of control. Control is the highest form of power. Understand this. Without control, all strength is wasted. All ambition is scattered. All victories are temporary. Men fall not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack mastery over themselves and the world around them. If you want to rebuild after collapse, if you want to rise from ruin as something untouchable, you must become an architect of control. And control begins within. Your first empire is your mind. Without discipline over your thoughts, you are a slave to impulses. Without mastery of your emotions, you are a puppet for anyone, clever enough to pull your strings. How many men have been destroyed not by their enemies, but by their own uncontrolled rage, their unchecked desire, their desperate need to be validated? These are not external assassins. They are internal ones. A man without self-control is already conquered before a single enemy strikes. You must chain the chaos inside you, bend it to your will, and turn it into fuel. Anger becomes energy for action. Fear becomes alertness. Pain becomes instruction. Even desire, when harnessed, becomes strategy instead of weakness. Machiavelli himself understood this. Men are predictable because their passions govern them. But if you govern your passions, you become unpredictable, dangerous, sovereign. Once you master yourself, the second empire is time. Weak men waste it. They squander it on distractions, on entertainment, on fleeting pleasures that dissolve into nothing. But time is the most brutal of currencies. It never returns. It never refunds. It never waits. If you want control, you must become ruthless with your time. Every hour must serve the architecture of your rise. This does not mean endless work like a slave. Number it means precise investment. Time spent learning, time spent calculating, time spent building leverage while others waste themselves. When you look back, ask, did this day strengthen me or weaken me? Did this hour advance me or steal from me? Control your time and you control your destiny. The third empire is relationships. Most men are controlled by others without even realizing it. A lover manipulates with affection. An enemy manipulates with fear. Society manipulates with shame. But the one who rises learns how to reverse this dynamic. You must know how to appear generous when it benefits you, and merciless when it is required. You must know how to pull the strings without others seeing your hand. Machiavelli advised rulers to seem virtuous while practicing vice in secret. This is not hypocrisy. It is survival. Men are simple. They believe what they see. They cling to appearances. They worship perception, control perception, and you control reality. If they think you are kind, you can be ruthless behind the curtain. If they think you are weak, you can strike when they are unprepared. If they think you are predictable, you can shatter them with surprise. This is the architecture of control over people. Never reveal everything, never depend on the trust, and never expose your true strength until the moment you intend to use it. And the final empire, perhaps the most important, is chaos. Life will always throw storms at you. Betrayal, loss, disaster, unforeseen collapse. Weak men drown because they believe. Chaos is their enemy. But the one who rebuilds into something untouchable learns to bend chaos into opportunity. Every collapse, every betrayal, every failure carries within it the seed of dominance if you have the eye to see it. Do not resist chaos. Ride it, redirect it, weaponize it. The lion does not curse the storm. He uses its cover to stalk prey. The fox does not panic at shifting ground. He adapts and slips through unnoticed. You must be both. And once you master this, once you master mind, time, relationships, and chaos, you have built something no disaster can shatter. Total control. But control is not a destination. It is a discipline. It must be sharpened daily. The man who thinks he has control but ceases to refine it is already losing it. The moment you stop guarding your mind, your impulses slip back in. The moment you stop respecting time, mediocrity steals your hours. The moment you stop shaping perception, others will shape it for you. The moment you stop guiding chaos, it will devour you. Control is war, and you must remain the general. Rebuilding yourself into something untouchable is not about strength alone. It is about control so precise that even strength itself becomes secondary. Because a strong man without control destroys himself. But a man of control can appear weak, appear ordinary, appear harmless. And still beneath the surface, he is the architect of every move, the one who pulls the hidden strings, the one who survives while others fall. Now ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as the man who was broken or the man who rebuilt himself into a fortress of control? Do you want to live as a pawn of impulses, time wasters, manipulators, and chaos? Or as the architect who bends all of them into his service? If you are ready to build that architecture inside yourself, declare it now. Write it into reality so that every man who sees it knows where you stand. Comment this with cold certainty. I control myself. I control time. I control the game. I am the architect of power, the cold crown of sovereignty. There comes a point in your reconstruction where you are no longer simply surviving, no longer just sharpening yourself in the dark, no longer quietly planning the rise. No, there comes a point where you must claim sovereignty. Sovereignty is the crown number one gives you. It is not inherited. It is not granted. It is seized. And to seize sovereignty, you must first kill the last illusion that someone somewhere will validate you, that some external power will acknowledge your worth, that some group, system, or authority will hand you the throne. They will not. The world crowns only those who take. Machiavelli taught that fortune bends to those bold enough to command it, not to those timid enough to wait. And here lies the truth. Sovereignty begins the moment you no longer negotiate for permission. You stop asking if you are ready. You stop wondering if you are worthy. You stop waiting for approval. You decide. And in that decision, you ascend above the millions who are still begging for validation. Sovereignty is not about ruling nations. It is about ruling yourself so completely that no one else ever rules you again. You become the king of your own mind, the emperor of your own habits, the sovereign over your own destiny. That crown is invisible, but it radiates in your presence, in the way people respond to you, in the way situations bend around you. Weak men argue, explain, defend. Sovereign men state, act, command. Weak men ask for permission. Sovereign men give themselves permission. Weak men drown in indecision. Sovereign men move with finality. But here is the catch. Sovereignty comes with weight. It demands that you stand alone. A. Sovereign cannot be dependent, cannot be swayed by emotional blackmail, cannot be broken by the fear of rejection. You will be called arrogant. You will be called cold. You will be called dangerous. Let them. Their words are the whining of subjects who cannot comprehend the presence of a ruler. Understand this. Sovereignty is not about being liked. It is about being untouchable. When you rise to sovereignty, you no longer seek to fit in. You no longer chase belonging. You no longer dilute yourself to be accepted. You stand alone. And by standing alone, you command respect that the desperate will never know. The sovereign man is envied, feared, respected, but never ignored. His existence becomes a mirror that exposes the weakness of others, and that is why they will resent him. But that resentment is proof of the crown. Dark psychology teaches us that people will test your sovereignty. They will push boundaries, question your resolve, attempt to chain you back to conformity. This is not accidental. It is instinct. The weak cannot stand the sight of independence, so they will conspire to break it. They will tempt you with comfort, seduce you with flattery, provoke you with insults, manipulate you with guilt. This is the battlefield of sovereignty. If you bow to these tactics, you lose your crown. But if you remain cold, disciplined, unshaken, every attempt to break you only amplifies your dominance. Sovereignty is not proven in words. It is proven in silence, in the refusal to bend, in the ability to stand unmovable while others exhaust themselves against you. And once sovereignty is secured within, it expands outward. You begin to shape reality instead of reacting to it. Your presence alone influences rooms. Your words carry weight even when spoken softly. Your decisions ripple through the lives of others. You become a node of gravity. People orbit you whether they admit it or not. This is not magic. It is not mystical. It is psychology. Human beings are drawn to those who radiate control, independence, and authority. They sense it in your posture, your voice, your eyes. They feel it in the way you need nothing from them, in the way you cannot be manipulated, in the way you stand complete within yourself. That is sovereignty. And once you wear its crown, you will never go back to the chains of weakness. So ask yourself now, will you remain another man among the herd, waiting for recognition that will never come? Or will you seize sovereignty, claim the crown, and rise beyond the reach of those who live as slaves to approval? The choice is yours, and the world does not care which path you take. But if you are listening to these words, if you feel the fire in your chest and the steel in your mind, then you already know what must be done. You must take the crown. You must decide, now that you rule yourself completely. And by ruling yourself, you stand untouchable. If you are ready to claim sovereignty, to wear the cold crown of power without apology, then seal it with words. Comment this now and let the world witness your oath. I wear the crown of sovereignty. I rule myself and none can rule me. The untouchable rise. And now we arrive at the final stage, the point where everything you have endured, everything you have burned away, everything you have forged in pain, silence, ruthlessness, and control must converge into one truth. You are no longer the man who was broken. That man is gone. You are no longer the man who begged for healing, for comfort, for pity. That man has been buried. What remains is something colder, sharper, more relentless. What remains is the sovereign will, the untouchable presence, the embodiment of discipline, ruthlessness, and strategy. And let me tell you this, most will never reach this point. They will hear words like these, nod along, feel a flicker of fire, then return to weakness the moment life tempts them with comfort again. But you are not them. You are here, because you are ready to step across the final threshold, where collapse is no longer your identity, but your origin story, where pain is no longer your enemy, but your fuel, where isolation is no longer your punishment, but your crown. From this point forward, you no longer rebuild just to survive. You rebuild to dominate. You do not rise to be accepted. You rise to be respected, to be feared, to be untouchable. Machiavelli's secret was simple. Fortune bends to those bold enough to shape it and crushes those who wait for it. Dark psychology confirms it. Men who cannot master themselves will always be mastered by others, and masculine stoicism demands it. You must face the storm with silence, endure it with discipline, and rise from it without begging for sympathy. This is the law of the untouchable rise. It is not about proving them wrong. It is about making their opinions irrelevant. It is not about revenge. It is about supremacy. It is not about returning to who you were. It is about becoming someone they can no longer touch, no longer betray, no longer break. This is the point of no return. The moment you embrace it, you step out of the herd forever. You step out of mediocrity forever. You step out of the old life forever. You become a new force, a new order, a new man. And when people see you now, they will not see a survivor. They will see a sovereign. They will not see a victim. They will see a predator. They will not see a broken man who rose again. They will see someone who cannot be broken ever again. That is the legacy of collapse. That is the purpose of ruin. That is the law of the untouchable rise. So if you are ready, if you feel this, truth striking deep in your bones, if you are done playing small, if you are ready to carry the cold crown of sovereignty and never put it down, then declare it one last time with no hesitation. Comment below, I am untouchable. I rise without permission. I dominate without apology. And remember, if these words carved fire into your mind, then feed that fire. Like this video, subscribe to Saritham and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning of your rise.